Good evening. Several Victorian towns are underwater tonight as the state struggles to cope with widespread flooding. The threat is currently at its greatest in the state's northeast, where Wangaratta is experiencing major flooding and Shepparton is preparing for the Goulburn River to break its banks. In the northwest, the streets of the small town of Charlton are submerged while Horsham is on alert. In the east, the floodwaters are making their way from the Alps towards Bairnsdale, but the SES believes Gippsland may be spared the damage that's occurred elsewhere. Our coverage begins tonight in Wangaratta, where homes were evacuated this afternoon after a levee bank became unstable. Helen Brown is in Wangaratta. Helen, what's the latest? Is that levee bank holding?
Well, Ian, it does seem to be at this stage. In fact, authorities have decided to let the residents of Wilson Road back into their homes for the night, but they must be packed up and ready to evacuate again. It's about 800 metres in that direction, and they held a meeting at about 5 o'clock and residents have started moving back in. Some had decided to stay there and see what happens. One old-timer in particular was going to take his chances. You might see behind me the Ovens River. Now, interestingly, that has dropped a little, which is what it was predicted to do, to peak this afternoon and drop a little. However, it's one of three rivers and there's still water coming down from the mountains.
Helen, what's at stake if that levee does break?
The authorities are concerned that if one of those weaknesses gives way, then the levee will disintegrate and send a surge of water towards those homes. And the fear is that it will trap people in those homes and possibly cause injuries and even worse. So they're quite concerned about that and very much concerned earlier this afternoon. As I said, the fear seems to have abated a little, but they're very much on alert. And I was told by the Mayor that because of those weaknesses in those levee banks, they're actually going to go and check all the other levee banks in the town to make sure that there's not an issue somewhere else.
Thank you, Helen. Helen Brown, live from Wangaratta.